What does success look like to you? Is it a brilliant idea? A flash of genius? A single moment that changes everything? What if I told you that success isn't a light bulb moment at all? What if it's something darker, messier, and far more painful? The story we're told about Thomas Edison is a simple one. A brilliant inventor who gave the world light. But the true story, the one they don't always teach you, is a story written not in light, but in fire, smoke, and thousands of heartbreaking failures. This is the story of how Thomas Edison didn't just invent the light bulb. He invented the very meaning of perseverance. Our story begins not in a laboratory, but in a classroom. A young boy named Thomas Alva Edison. He was considered a difficult student. His mind wandered. He asked too many questions, and to his teachers he seemed slow. One day a school inspector even said the boy's brains were addled, scrambled. Humiliated, Thomas ran home in tears. What happened next would shape his entire life. His mother, Nancy, a former teacher herself, read the inspector's note. And she did something extraordinary. She looked her son in the eye and said, "My son, you are not addled. You have a great mind. This school is not good enough for you. I will teach you myself." But there was another layer to young Thomas's struggle. An illness in childhood was slowly causing him to go deaf. Imagine that, a world growing quieter. For some, this might have been a prison. But for Edison, he saw it as an advantage. He said his deafness helped him concentrate, shutting out the noise of the world so he could hear the whispers of his own imagination. As a young man, Edison built a place he called an invention factory, Menlo Park. It wasn't a solitary workshop. It was a team of brilliant minds, working day and night. And their first great challenge was the incandescent light. The idea was simple: pass electricity through a thin thread, a filament, inside a glass bulb with no air, and make it glow. Simple idea. Impossibly difficult execution. The quest for the right filament became an obsession. He and his team tested over 6,000 different materials from all over the world. Can you imagine the frustration, the doubt? A reporter once asked him, "Mr. Edison, how do you feel about your 10,000 failures?" Edison's reply was legendary. He didn't say he failed. He said, "Pause. I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This wasn't just a positive attitude. This was a fundamental belief that every failure was a data point, a step forward, not backward. And then, on October 21st, 1879, after pumping the air out of a bulb with a carbonized cotton thread, it worked. A soft, steady glow lasted for over 13 hours. They had done it. But just as the world was celebrating his genius, disaster struck. Years later, Edison's massive West Orange laboratory complex, a place even bigger than Menlo Park, was buzzing with work on new projects. Then, one freezing December night in 1914, a fire started in the film testing room. Nitrate film was highly flammable. The fire spread with terrifying speed. It wasn't just a building. It was his life's work, going up in flames. Fire companies from 8 towns arrived, but they were helpless against the inferno. The damage was estimated in the millions. At the height of the blaze, a 67-year-old Thomas Edison arrived on the scene. His son Charles was terrified, fearing his father would be crushed by the loss. He found Edison calm. Watching the flames, his face illuminated by the destruction of everything he had built. And then Edison said to Charles, calm, firm voice, "Go get your mother and all her friends. They'll never see a fire like this again." But it was what he said next that revealed the true man. As the embers still smoldered, Edison looked around and declared, "I am 67, but I'm not too old to make a fresh start." He didn't see an ending. He saw an opportunity. The fire had cleared out the old, and he would rebuild, better than before. So what is the real invention here? Was it the light bulb, the phonograph, the motion picture camera? All of these changed the world, yes. But Thomas Edison's greatest creation was something even more powerful, a blueprint for resilience. He gave us a new definition of genius, not as a magical spark, but as stubborn, relentless, hard work. It's 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. He taught us that failure is not the opposite of success. It is the raw material of success. Every no gets you closer to a yes. Every wrong path shows you the right one. Think about your own life. That project that didn't work out. That idea that was rejected. That goal that feels miles away. What if you started to see those not as failures, but as experiments, as data, as the 1,000 ways that won't work, before you find the one way that will? Thomas Edison's legacy isn't just the light that banished the darkness from our streets. It's the light of a mindset, a refusal to quit. He proved that the most powerful force in the world is a human being with a purpose, who is not afraid to fail, and fail, and fail again, until they succeed. Thank you for watching. If this story inspired you, share it with someone who needs to be reminded that their failures are just steps on the path. Don't forget to subscribe to Edistry for more stories of the perseverance behind the genius. Until next time, keep experimenting.